over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Good evening.
Are there any public comments from the board? I wanted to remind everyone that the pancake breakfast at the senior center is tomorrow morning. $2 for all you can eat. It's a great deal. I also wanted to remind folks that the Town of Lunenburg Senior Tax Work-Off Program offers income-eligible citizens age 60 plus an opportunity to receive up to $1,500 off their property tax bill by working in various town departments to earn a tax abatement. That program has just increased the abatement to $1,500 and the hourly wage to $12. Contact the Council on Aging office at the Senior Center to apply. You know, I was just talking to Sue, and she gave me a list of all of the positions and said that the committee was meeting yesterday, and I asked her to find out if they were going to increase it so that it kept up with minimum wage. Do you know if that happened?
I haven't talked to her since that meeting, so about that.
Okay, because it seems to me that if we just keep it in line with minimum wage, that would be the right thing to do.
Quick announcement,
Sure.
too, from the town clerk. The 2020 town census forms were mailed on the 3rd of January and should be returned to the town clerk's office as soon as possible. If you lived in town on January 1st and did not receive a form, please contact the town clerk immediately at 978-582-4131. And please remember that not returning the census form will inactivate your voter status prior to the November election. Another announcement from the town clerk, the last day and hour to register to vote or change party affiliation for the March 3rd, 2020 presidential primary and the special state election is February 12th, 2020 at 8 p.m. The town clerk's office will remain open until 8 p.m. for registration. And also, dog licenses for 2020 are due by April 1st, 2020 and will be available at the town clerk's office after February 14th.
So you can't do any of that online?
The dog licenses, no. Or the registration, no.
All right, thank you. Public comment from the public?
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. A few months ago, I came before this board and asked the question as to what the process was going to be and how long it was going to take for the legislature to certify the charter that was approved at the May town meeting, and town meeting warrant was certified sometime later that summer. I'm very frustrated to hear that process still has not moved forward. We're coming up on midwinter. We have elections coming up in May. One thing in particular that I'm particularly keen on and tried to help get through and into the charter was an increase in the number of members for the Parks Commission. If that does not get certified in time, then those positions are not going to be filled in the May election. I'm extremely frustrated that this process hasn't moved forward, and I believe that there is a process that it could have moved forward much quicker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any updates to that?
No, it's in town council's hands, and every time I talk to town council, I ask for an update, so.
Okay, it's 7:05, and our first appointment is a change of manager to Diego Comisano, is that correct? Comisano, for alcohol license, Victory Distributors, LLC, Hannaford Supermarket and Pharmacy, number 8388, 333 Massachusetts Ave.
So, yeah, I'm here to request a change of license name from Jen Moore to myself, Diego Comisano. I'll be the new store manager at the Hannaford Lunenburg store.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, but I want to make a comment. I had a great relationship with Jen Moore. And I met her when I was a teenager, when I worked at Hannaford. She was Jen Cox back then.
Oh, yes, she was.
And she was a front-end manager. And over the years, with her shift to Drakehead and, Lowell and, coming back here was, so it's a little sad, I think, for us that she's up in, I think, Ringe now, right?
Correct, she is. Yeah.
But certainly I hope to get to know you as well.
Thank
and
you.
Forge a good bond and maintain the good bond that we have with Hannaford.
Absolutely. So,
And my only question is if we had the name spelled correctly. It sounds like, does it end with an A?
it ends with an A, C-O-M-E-S.
Have it as an O in our agenda, but as long as it's right on the license, then it would be fine.
Yeah, it ends with an O on this.
It's an O on the paper.
Just want to make sure we give you
Thank you.
the real deal.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it should
We
be,
can,
so it should be
yep.
Comesana?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's what it sounded like, wasn't
Yeah.
what I was seeing.
We can reprint the license. So and the board can sign this at the next meeting. Just so
Okay.
you can still vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's corrected one of the forms in here.
I guess my only question is, I know that people are able to do like cash out by themselves, and that they buy, you can buy beer and wine that way, and that always seems odd to me.
Yeah, so through self-checkout, I believe that's
Yeah,
what
right.
you're referring to. So through self-checkout, the only way you can buy beer or wine is if it's a supervisor actually goes through the self-checkout and scans their supervisor card. So for example, if somebody from underage was trying to purchase liquor, beer, wine, without a supervisor card and actually physically looking at the ID, it would not allow to proceed, the customer to proceed forward with that purchase.
But what if the person looked like they were 21?
Well, the transaction's halted, right?
Correct.
When you scan
That's
alcohol,
correct.
and anybody scans it, the red light or something goes
Correct,
up.
yeah.
And everybody,
That's not true. I've purchased wine there before without anybody checking.
I think
Uh-oh.
I think you
I
guys
will-
have a couple items that get through because I've
Okay.
also done the same.
I can refer back to it and double check, but
That's what surprised me. I thought, gee, that's funny. I mean, if I went to another liquor store and tried to just do a
Well, that is
self-checkout.
scary.
Yeah, right,
gosh,
right.
whatever I bought was halted.
yeah, I'm under the understanding that it does halt that purchase, and a supervisor will have to come and physically check an ID. But I'll definitely go back to the store and double check that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought it was odd.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we do a change of manager for the alcohol license at Hannaford Supermarket and Pharmacy number 8388 at 333 Mass Ave to Diego Camasana.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank
Welcome
you
to
very much.
Lunenburg.
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Yeah,
Take-
thank you. Well,
take
you're
care.
from next door anyway, right? So.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I live right down the street, so
Yeah.
I'm not far.
All right. Well, thank
Take
you
care.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we're ready for the town manager's report.
Yes, there's no interviews or appointments or reappointments or resignations right now. Announcement on existing vacancies. The following is a list of vacancies on the following committees: 1 regular member and 3 alternate vacancies on the Agricultural Commission, 1 vacancy on the Americans with Disabilities Act Commission, 1 vacancy on the Architectural Preservation District Commission, 1 vacancy on the Finance Committee, 1 vacancy on the Open Space Committee, 1 vacancy on the Planning Board, and 1 regular member and 2 associate vacancies on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And talent bank forms can be received on the town website or through the Board of Selectmen's office. An update on 925 Mass Ave. We submitted a Brownfields nomination form to Montechusett Regional Planning Commission as part of their Brownfields group, a new program that they have for funding for assessments. And I am going tomorrow to with the group that will be reviewing the nomination forms to see if we get funding for.
Do you know how good the chances are?
I spoke with John Hume at MRPCC, and it's very likely that
Oh,
ours will be
great.
funded.
Do they have very many applications, do
There
you
are
know?
4 in total, 4 towns that have submitted.
All right. Well, good luck
Thank you.
to all of us.
The planning and project grant requests to Mass Office on Disability. I received notification this week that we did not receive the planning or project grant requests submitted to the Mass Office on Disability for both the completion of the ADA self-evaluation transition plan or the improvements to North Cemetery. There is right now through Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, the DLTA funding, another round of that. So I plan on submitting the remainder of the planning piece under that program. So hopefully we can complete that project.
Great, thank you.
They did the first half, so. Chapter 90 supplemental budget apportionment. We received notification that as part of the recent approval by the legislature for a supplemental budget for fiscal 20, we will receive an additional $41,465 in Chapter 90 funding for road projects. And this brings our fiscal 20 apportionment to $456,114. And meetings, events, and other announcements. I attended the Capital Planning Committee meeting today. We'll be attending the TCP Building Design Committee meeting tomorrow evening and the Finance Committee meeting on Thursday. And the proposals, the RFQs, are due tomorrow for the TCP project.
Now, where will the TCP Building Design Committee meet?
In the Ritter Building in the lower level.
Oh, okay.
What time do they meet at?
It is at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you, Heather. Where are we at with DPW and getting the fuel tanks?
A few proposals have been received from engineering firms, and the last proposal, additional information was needed on that last proposal to make it equivalent to the other two proposals. So we're waiting on that third proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a timeline for when you expect this to move to the next phase?
As soon as we get that last proposal, we can move forward with that engineering piece, and then that will start the ball rolling on putting the bid specifications and everything together and out to bid.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a question about the old primary site as it relates to the 925 Mass Ave project. Like, everyone feels good about that. That gas station's been delinquent for so long. But one day I was thinking about it, and that is a privately owned abandoned building. We have our very own municipally owned abandoned building that I don't really feel like we're taking steps forward on in the same way we are with this private parcel, in the sense that we haven't done a hazardous waste assessment yet. And we need that no matter what we do. So I was just thinking, and I know that's your goal versus our goal, but if we could, despite not knowing what it's going to be, take these type of investigational steps on that piece, since it is ours and we don't even need permission to learn about it. I think it's time that we put a little bit of effort into saying, okay, what is the hazardous waste, assessment? When are we going to do it? How much does it cost? I think there may have been a citizen who pointed out at one point, even if we're not going to demolition the building, we could still seek permission and go down the path for what it would take to have all of those boxes checked if indeed we need to. We're not doing any of those things. Those will be the tools that help us move forward. And so I just thought one day, I kind of got frustrated thinking it won't move forward in any direction if we don't at least start to investigate it. So I think maybe we can start investigating it, because we don't even need our own permission to do that. So I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I think if we took the same approach we're taking on this private parcel and say, let's dig in and figure out how we're going to get to the bottom of this abandoned piece and make it a better part of town center, no matter what that means, we need to start studying it. And I'd like to see something happen.
I agree with you. I'm not clear though on what you're asking.
Hazardous waste assessment.
Okay.
Because that's always missing. So whenever Vertex or anybody studies it, they have to hypothesize, because we haven't really identified the things like hazardous waste that would be part of a reno or a demo.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. Once we have it, then we know next step in either direction. So missing that piece, we can't go in any direction without starting to study what we have on our hands. And there's nothing really holding us back to start to find out these answers and
Yeah.
they're needed for any outcome.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Have we done one of those recently? Like, do we have an idea of what that would cost?
So there's two different things I think you're talking about is 21E would be like the site, evaluating the site itself for contamination, or whether you're looking at hazardous materials of the building itself.
I'm thinking the building because as an old school and thing, it doesn't draw as many red flags for the site to be contaminated. Not that it couldn't be, but we know the history of it has been municipal and school-based for a very long time. I don't, usually associate old school sites with hazardous waste like a gas station. So it
There's
would be
probably
the building.
asbestos there.
But that's
But
where the
that's
building.
interior.
Yeah.
You're not talking
Yeah.
about exterior. So
Yeah.
start with the interior.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so worried about the land as just
You hope
understanding the
not.
building. Yeah.
The fire station was over there, you don't know what they.
Yeah.
Don't have a breakout of what that cost would be, so I can.
I feel like
look
it's been
into it.
identified in the past because I know it's come up. But either way, it still needs to be done.
Yeah, if we have to do, no matter how we proceed.
A
that's
demo
one
or a
thing that
reno,
has to
that's
be
one
done.
thing we haven't done, and for the last 2 years, we hypothesize about certain elements that we can start to plan for if we just take action, the same type of action we're taking on a private parcel, we should apply to our own abandoned building.
Yeah, the cost was inclusive in the Vertex reports of both hazardous testing and abatement. So it was all lumped into one sum. So I'd have to look further into that.
Okay.
But
And the abatement
I wanna
has
say
to be
it's
done whether it's a
around
reno
5,000.
or a demo too. So
Yeah.
I did know that figure. It might pop back in.
Good point.
Yeah, it just hit me one day, like, wait a minute, we own this. We should do something about it. Oh, wait, we've been saying that for a few years, but we really should do something about it. It's our goal. The year's almost over,
But we're gonna have a workshop on the old primary too.
hopefully. We got one snowed out, and, all of a sudden you blink your eye and a year's gone, and we haven't that would at least be a step towards our goal. So I'd like to at least do something tiny to show that we've worked on it in some way or understood something that we didn't previously know, or anything we can offer, since it's a goal.
If we needed to spend $5,000 to $10,000 for that, could we?
yeah, it comes back to that budget that we already reviewed for the facilities and where everything's accounted for now. So
We have to do it either way, so it just frustrates me that we're not putting anything in the direction of solving some of these massive problems. And
well, that's why, yeah, we're planning for fiscal '21. We could put it into the budget for
that's
next
just
year.
so far away.
From the
I know,
budgeting
but why
time.
haven't we already done this? If it's our goal and it's the budget season, I don't know why it didn't surface to be something we could look into. I mean, there's a lot of things that are gonna be on that budget that I think we're gonna raise our eyebrows and say, do we really need this? Do we really need that? And so, you start to say, well, why not a few thousand to solve a giant problem? The building's not going anywhere, and it's always going to be something we have to solve. I think putting off studying it for another year and having it continue to deteriorate is just absurd.
Have
It's
we already-
bad for either outcome.
Have we already spent that $7,000 that the board approved to, I guess, abate some of the concerns that came up from the Architectural Preservation Commission? Has that $7,000 been spent? Because if not, I didn't support that decision, and I will gladly in and say, let's do this instead.
I'd have to look into that.
That's a good
Okay.
point. I mean, then at least it's heading in a direction.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make one comment in regards to that conversation? Dave Passios again, 56 Whiting Street. A few years ago, when we proposed the article at town meeting to demolish that building, which included all of what you've been just talking about and having the building gone and the basically the ground leveled where the building is, there was disagreement on the cost and argument as to what Ms. Adams just said, that we needed that number first by getting that assessment done, and she's right. We talk about it about once every 6 months, but we don't do anything about it. At the very least, get an estimate, a true estimate for what the walkthrough and analysis of the hazards in that building would cost. At least that's one step. And I've heard anywhere from $3,000 to a maximum of $10,000 to get that accomplished. It doesn't cost us to get an estimate. Just a couple of phone calls and somebody running a calculator.
And that, I did say I'd do that. We'd
Thank
get
you,
it.
Dave.
Okay, I didn't hear that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The discussion on the stage has been a little bit soft tonight. Thank you.
We'll speak up then. Current business. We will need to vote to open the annual town meeting warrant on January 14th and close the warrant on March 16th at 4 PM. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we open the annual town meeting warrant on January 14th and close the warrant on March 16th at 4 PM.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Minutes, warrants, action items. There are the minutes from the October 8th meeting. Accounts payable, $986,493.52. Deductions, $50,181.87.
Oh, sure.
Payroll, $762,000.35.
That's okay, we can share.
Accounts payable, $1,645,678.47. Any action items for this evening?
No, I think mine came up inadvertently early,
Yeah.
but I like to see the progress on the gas station, and I'm very pleased with that. I know everybody is, but when you pair it to our inaction on something that's actually ours, I think it's a little bit embarrassing that we're willing to take action on something privately owned, which really isn't our business, but I'm glad we can make it our business and help improve town center. But then we have something much larger that is ours that we're not working on. It's just such a dichotomy to work on something private and not acknowledge our own town center flaws. And it just like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, that like, wow, we are taking action on something private that we could be applying those efforts to something municipally owned. Nobody else can fix that, only we can. Whereas the other parcel just belongs to the universe and everybody's ignoring it, but we're ignoring our own property. And so since it was one of our goals, I just thought, I mean, I've only been talking about it for like 3 years, but I thought, why not tonight?
Well, to be fair, we tried to get other people to solve that problem for us, but it got shot down a couple times.
But I'm just asking for one thing, hazardous waste studies, and that needs to be a part of any outcome. So even with those ideas and those other paths, that's something we still didn't know. So it's just time to know information about the building.
I think we all agree.
Thank you.
All right, any committee reports?
Just, Heather already touched on it, we did the capital planning prioritization today. We're gonna be, I guess, making the presentation to the Board of Selectmen on the 21st, so we get the whole rundown that.
Great, thank
Any
you.
exciting highlights?
I just, if you really want me to read through the 21 different requests, I can do that, but.
But you said it was taped, so we can view
Yes,
it.
it was
we
taped, so you can watch it.
on YouTube.
Yep.
Great. So everyone can tune into YouTube for a preview of the meeting on the 21st.
I just have a comment since we're talking about committees. Next week, will need to be at the sewer commission meeting on their agenda for the very beginning of it. And
Oh, that's the same night as ours, right?
so I want to be very transparent about what's happening since I'm a member of this board, and I've asked for this, not for me not to get any kind of special treatment here, but what's come up is that I am in the sewer zone, and I cannot actually access sewer. So my property has no frontage, and I am about 2 football fields in the woods. So the question then is, how do I get onto the sewer that I am zoned to, that I'm supposed to be able to receive, if it requires me to use my neighbor's land? And so there seems to be some precedent there about me not being able to force my neighbor to let me add sewer. And so that's the reason why I'm appearing before the sewer committee, just to get a better understanding of if it's appropriate for me to remain then zoned in a sewer, for me to remain in a sewer zone, because I certainly am paying those betterment fees for it.
Now, is it like a one-time betterment fee in that you're paying against it?
I mean, it's on my taxes this year. I believe I paid it last year too.
Okay, so basically, you know, when Sunset Lane was paved, we could either pay it all at once or just pay it over 20 years or something like that. So you're sort of on the 20-year plan, probably.
Paying
Okay.
it for a little while.
Yeah, right.
And it's about $700 a year. So.
But, you know, your concern is that if you can't access sewer, then you really don't belong in the sewer zone.
Or is there a way for me to actually access sewer? Because that is something I would like to do, is actually access it.
Well, good luck. So did you come here after your?
I will come here after.
Well, are you at the beginning of their meeting?
am.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for letting us know.
All right.
And good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other committee reports? On Thursday, this Thursday, I will attend a presentation by Melissa Cryan of the Division of Conservation Services, which will be a question and answer and networking session. Melissa will present on grant programs, open space and recreation planning, and conservation assistance for small towns in Massachusetts. It's going to be held at the Doyle Center in Leominster. Do you know if any town personnel are going?
I don't know. I did receive that. I have something else that I have to go to.
And I'm going to be attending the MART, Montechusett Regional Transit Authority meeting on Tuesday, January 14th. I'm going to be attending the Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition meeting on Wednesday, January 15th. The Montechusett Regional Planning Organization meeting at 1 on Wednesday, January 22nd. And the Stormwater Task Force meeting on Thursday, January 23rd. In the evening. It's a full life.
Yes. Thank you.
That's it. Okay, the upcoming meeting schedule. We are meeting with the 7th and the 21st
Yes, and the 28th.
and the 28th. All right. And the workshop is going to be on the 21st, or we're not sure yet?
No, we're not sure yet.
We're not sure. Okay.
Whether it's going to be next week or the 21st. The 28th is reserved for that public meeting regarding anyone who had questions on the budget.
Oh, okay. And that will be here.
Yes.
Does the sewer commission move their meeting then?
Right, that's the same night, so we'll have to work that out.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment from the board?
I have a question for Heather that I should have asked earlier in the meeting, but I do have a comment as well. The question is, where are we at with enforcing the order related to the dangerous dog?
There is a court hearing appearance, I believe it's next week.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The second, my comment is tonight while coming home from Boston area, excuse me, the traffic coming off of Route 70 was backed up almost to Route 2.
Wow.
And I've never seen that before. It was pretty bad. And I was this close to saying we need to get a cop down here, or a police officer rather down here. But I didn't, because I feel like, I could wait in line for a good 15 minutes, but it was about 15 minutes. So I'm mentioning this to say that we may need to, I never want to see more stoplights in town, but that intersection, I'm not sure how many accidents are occurring down there, but it's, especially with the snow this time of the year, it's even more difficult for those of us who come down 70 to get into town, to make a left or right turn at that intersection. So
Is
that's
it, are you talking down by Keating's and
down
Powell's?
by Keating's and Powell's.
Where it hits, where, is it Lancaster Road?
Leominster Shirley.
Leominster Shirley Road hits, is it Lancaster Road?
70.
It's Route 70.
Route 70,
yeah.
but, you know.
I don't know the actual
I
name
don't-
of the
okay.
road. But, okay.
Yeah, that is a difficult.
Yeah, I've
turn.
never seen that. I mean, I've never seen the traffic backed up even to the gates for PJ Keating's, never mind almost to Route 2.
Yeah, that's long. Was there anything, do you know if there was a
Nothing was
commotion or
happening.
anything?
No, it was
At
just,
least not by the time you got there.
no,
huh?
just a lot of cars.
Wow. Yeah, you're right, you know, more lights sometimes causes issues. We should keep an eye on that.
So for public comment for me, if you jog my memory, I always like to ask about if the state has given any updates on the intersection by Walmart. I peruse, Facebook. People still worry and talk about that intersection, mostly just if it could be one group going at a time, because that happens when you're heading this way, but not when you're coming down from Walmart and across Electric Ave. So it would just be a change in the light patterns, not even, no changes to the road or anything, just changes to how people are allowed to proceed just one side at a time. And once somebody pointed out that when you leave Walmart to go to Electric Ave, it's not straight across, it's off. And once it is, and that does make it more dynamic, and if one side went at a time, it might be a better intersection. But then my other public comment is just a little story about the Unitil ground to sky clearing of the trees, which I don't know if anybody noticed I was against. And I would bring up in Townsend a couple areas where it had been done, and they did the ground to sky 20, 30 feet on the side of the road, and I'd say, is that what it's gonna look like? During one of the big snowstorms, I cut through one of those roads to head to the Townsend Hannaford, and like a 150-foot tree from the forest had tipped over onto the power lines in the area where they had cleared all the trees. And I stopped and took a picture. And it was a great moment of irony, because that was sort of one of my things, is you can take away all these trees, but you can't take away power outages. And that was sort of a point I was trying to get across. And so I thought it was just good fortune that I had ventured out during the dangerous conditions. And there was this pine tree laying on the power lines in the area I kept referencing where they had done the storm resiliency program, and yet it was not resilient.
And if they had left those trees,
Indeed,
the tree might not have hit the power lines.
Trees
It might bounced
are
off something else.
Absolutely. Nope, it may have hit another tree and just gone down in the forest. So it may have had that ability to whoosh, come all the way out. It was just funny. I chuckled, and I'm sorry if anyone lost power, but it was sort of the point, was you can try to prevent it, but we really can't get ahead of Mother Nature, and there'll always be an outage. Even if we we could take away all the trees, and that might help, but I think it's heading in the wrong direction. But it was just a funny little story. I actually laughed out loud.
Any more comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
For the record.